Welcome to Crack It. Today we are going to discuss about the Java 8 features of Lambda expressions and predicates. We are going to see the coding examples for the same, and also we are going to discuss about the interview questions in these topics. Let's go to the discussion. What are the Lambda expressions in Java? Lambda expressions are the expressions that represents the instances of the functional interfaces. As you remember in the previous slide we discussed, functional interfaces are nothing but the interfaces which will have only one abstract method. So that abstract method will be implemented using this Lambda expressions. So whenever we use an interface with only one method, we can use this Lambda expressions to implement our code. Let's see how we can use it. This is the syntax for it. If we have any parameters, we need to provide that parameters and we need to provide the expression after this arrow mark. So if we see here, A and B are going to be my parameters, and what this Lambda expression is going to do, Lambda expression is going to add A and B, and this is going to return me the addition of this value. If we look closely in this Lambda expression, we didn't mention any of the data types. So here A and B are the parameters, and it will perform the addition operation if A and B are the integer data types, and the same expression will concatenate two strings if A and B are strings. So Lambda expressions can only be used in the functional interfaces wherein we will have only one abstract method. And why are we using this Lambda expressions? This Lambda expression will reduces a lot of lines of code and will be very easy when compared to the previous implementations. This is the example of the functional interface that we created in our previous video. What I have, I have an interface operator and I have an operate method which will accept two parameters A and B, and that will return data of type T. So before Java 8, if I need to use this method from this interface, what I have to do? I have to implement this method operate on the fly. So if we see here, we have created like a new operator and I have overridden this operate method. This is how we do before Java 8. But after Java 8, it's very easy. Why it is very easy? It is through the Lambda expressions. What will this Lambda expression is doing? It is going checking in the method of the functional interface how many parameters it have. It has two parameters, so we are passing two parameters here, and what this method wants to do, it needs to add these two parameters and need to return that value to me. So it will add, like if we give A plus B, it will add and it will return that value to us. So before Java 8 we have to like these many lines of code, but after Java 8 the entire functionality is performed in a single line. This is the advantage of these Lambda expressions. Which are the places in which I can use these Lambda expressions? I can use the Lambda expressions as a method argument. I can use the Lambda expression as an object for the constructor. I can use the Lambda expression to implement the abstract methods in my functional interfaces. I can use Lambdas in all these ways. Here in this example, if we see, I have a list of strings wherein I am printing the value of all these strings. So this is a Lambda expression. What is this Lambda expression? This Lambda expression is implementation of this consumer interface accept method. This method will accept the input parameter and it will not return anything. So here if we see, this is accepting this X, it is not returning anything, it's just printing. This is the implementation of that accept method, and that implementation is system.out.println. We are filtering the elements in this list that are starting with the letter C. How are we doing it? We are using the stream in the strings list and we are filtering the elements that are starting with the letter C. To this filter method, we are sending this Lambda expression. What is this Lambda expression? This Lambda expression is the implementation of this test method in this predicate interface. What does this test method will do? That test method will accept the input argument and returns true or false based on a condition. And what is this condition? Our condition here is the S dot starts with C. This starts with C is the implementation of this test method. So what will do? It will come here, it will test whether this letter is starting with C or not. If it starts with C, it will return true. If it is not starting with C, it will return false. So if it is false, it will filter those elements. It will not consider. Here in this example, we are passing this Lambda expression as a object for this constructor. So if we see here in the runnable, we have written the implementation directly here. What is that implementation? We need to print the thread name that has been created. So this is the implementation of this void run method. As we discussed about what Lambda expressions are and its uses, we are now going to discuss about few of the functional interfaces that were introduced after Java 8. One of those are predicates. Predicates are nothing but the functional interfaces, and it will have only one abstract method, and that abstract method is test, that will check the condition and if the condition is true it will return true, if the condition fails it will return false. This is the predicate class. We can see that it is a functional interface, and this is the abstract method, and it has other default and the static methods. This is the example for the predicate method. Here if you see, we are creating a predicate. It is nothing but the implementation of the Boolean method in the predicate class. So it will check this condition. If it is satisfies, it will return true. If it fails, it will return false. So we are passing this predicate to the parameter of this filter method. So if we go check in the filter method accepts predicate as its parameter. So we have a list, and we are filtering the elements that are starting with C, and we are collecting it to a list. So this will print the strings that are starting with C, bracket and channel. Also we can use predicate and predicate or operations as well. What is predicate and? We can do the predicate chaining here. If you see here, I have a predicate, first predicate which is starting with C, and I have one more predicate that is end with T. So we can do predicate chaining, and we can pass it to our filter methods as well. Similarly, like we can do a predicate chaining for OR. So this is predicate and this is predicate R. We can negate the predicate as well. So this will return not of elements that are starting with C. Let's run and see what happens. So if we see here, our first will print the elements that are starting with C, and our second will print the elements that are starting with C and ending with T. That is only one, that is bracket. And if you see here, this will print the elements starting with C and starting with W. So it will print welcome, bracket and channel. If we see here, this example, this one will negate of C, which means it will print all the elements that are not starting with C, and those are welcome to YouTube. Thanks for watching Crack It. Please do like, share and subscribe.